Hi, this video tutorial I will cover load on startup concept in servlets. First we will see normally how servlet initialization will happen. Okay, the left side you can see the client. The client sends a request to the server. The server internally it will forward to the servlet container. The servlet container what it will do is it will check the URL pattern. Which is coming from the request. Okay, so based on the URL pattern it will identify a corresponding servlet class from the web.xml, and once it identify the servlet class, then the servlet container will check the request is a first request or not. If the request is a first request, then it will load the particular servlet, and it will initialize the servlet by calling the init method. Okay, then servlet container will call the service method to process the request, and it will prepare the response and send it back to the client. Okay, so this is how it works for the first request. If the request is coming for the second or third time, then the servlet container won't load that class and initialize that servlet, because already the initialization has happened in the first request. Okay, so for the second and third request it will just call the service method and process the request and send the response back to the client. Okay, so if you see that one, first request will take more time because it involves initialization of the servlet. Okay, and second and third request it won't take much time because it doesn't involve initialization, right? Okay, so how to avoid the first request to take more time? Okay, so that is a question. So how we can avoid is we can use this load on startup concept. Okay, next we will see that. Okay, suppose we want a particular servlet should be loaded and initialized by the servlet container at the time of deployment, then we can just specify load on startup for the particular servlet in the web.xml. Once this load on startup is set for the particular servlet, that servlet will be loaded and initialized by the servlet container at the time of deployment. Okay, in load on startup case, the initialization has happened in the time of deployment, right? So when the first request comes, the servlet container no need to initialize the servlet because already the servlet is initialized at the time of deployment. So it will just process the request by calling the service method and return a response back to the client. Okay, so the first request also won't take much time. Okay, in this case, in load on startup case. Okay, so this is how we can avoid the first request taking more time. Okay, so this load on startup concept provide that facility. This is a sample web.xml. Here you can see there are two servlet classes. The first one is hello world, and another one is servlet lifecycle. Okay, suppose we want this two servlets should be loaded at the time of deployment. Then what we can do is we can specify a load on startup for those servlets. Okay, so for hello world servlet, load on startup value is 0, and servlet lifecycle servlet load on startup value is 1. Okay, so at the time of deployment, the servlet container will load these two classes. Okay, if we set this load on startup value. Okay, for hello world servlet we set 0, and for lifecycle servlet we set 1. Okay, so first servlet container will load this hello world servlet and initialize, and then it will load servlet lifecycle servlet and initialize. Okay, so basically container loads the servlet in ascending integer value. Okay, so in this case 0 is first and 1 is second. Okay, and so this is also called pre-initialization. Okay, because at the time of deployment the servlet is loaded by the servlet container and initialized by the servlet container. Okay, so both the hello world servlet and servlet lifecycle servlets are loaded and initialized by the servlet container at the time of deployment. Okay, so when the first request comes to this servlet, it won't take much time to respond, because both the servlet has already loaded at the time of deployment. Okay, so the first request response time will be fast. Okay, and I have created a separate video for load on startup demo or example. I have created one project. I have deployed in Tomcat, and I have showed the output also. So if you want to know more about this one, please log into my channel and watch that video. And this is about load on startup concept in Servlet, and thanks for watching. Bye.